Connecting.
What bollocks have you been talking?
Ah, shit. Hey guys.
How's your undercrackers, Alex?
Very, very well. Very, very nice and squeaky. How about yourselves?
Oh, filthy.
Not too bad, not too bad.
Filthy.
I love the artwork going on at the back. I've just got books and a coffee machine.
We just drew it before this started.
This is great.
Yeah.
This is great.
What's that thing under your books? Is that a fridge or a dishwasher?
So that is an iron. That is a coffee machine.
Oh, yeah.
It's a puzzle of me and my girlfriend that, is,
Like, puzzling for you or for her?
Well, look, thanks for giving up so much time to come on board with it.
Right, Alex, pleasure, man. Pleasure.
Talk about lockdown and COVID and how you guys have been coping. So, I mean, I know Greer's been working out in the gym or, the home gym quite a bit.
Home gym?
Well,
Yeah.
when he says home gym, what I did was fill up plastic bags with water and use them as bicep curlers. So it's not as glamorous as it sounds.
There's a way to use disposable plastic bags. Turn them into dumbbells.
But what about you, Rob? What have you been doing since, for the last however long?
I've been filling up bin liners.
Have you?
Yeah. And not with water. Well, just I don't know, man. You're the same as everyone else. Just at home scratching my arse, trying to do stuff.
No new hobbies?
I took up candle making,
No.
which I was boasting about on
With my
social
girlfriend,
media.
actually, Rebecca, doing
Yeah.
a bit of candle making, yeah.
Did you do scented?
Swap tips.
Yeah, she's been pretty good.
Because mine are still shite. I did the minimum learning amount so that I can put something in a jar and it can burn. Hang on one sec, I'll show you one.
Look, sample.
Oh, that one's a bit empty now. But you know what? I have to figure out. The trick is the oil you put in with the wax to slow down the burning, to kind of cool the burning.
Yeah.
But I keep putting in too much oil, and then they fucking barely burn. They burn like a little pinhole
And it
through
gets
the
the
whole
cave
thing.
down, in the middle.
Yeah. What scents have you been using?
Nothing.
Nothing.
We tried. That was the other thing actually. I must ask Becker about, because if you put I put loads of essential oil into the mix, but she can't smell fuck all.
Yeah, she got them smelling. I don't know what she was doing.
Nice.
There must be some technique to the whole situation.
There must be, and practice makes perfect, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So how are we gonna do this thing, Alex? Are you gonna launch in with questions, or are we gonna wait for questions from Cindy Lopez Villa
Nice.
or Raven Aiden's My Country Durban for?
There's quite a lot of people tuning in, which is awesome. But let me just run. We're gonna run through a few things. So we just talked about lockdown, but
Hello, Bel.
for the bit. And but first off, I want to congratulate you for the Umbrella Academy, obviously.
Oh, thank you. I made it myself.
Yes, I know.
I don't take any congratulations to that one.
I made it entirely myself during lockdown.
But yeah, I mean, now that it's over, season 2's over, can you tell me the most annoying person on set?
Who's the most annoying person on set? Currently, you.
Oh no. All right, fine, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, okay, so I just wanted to go through your life a little bit, Rob. You've been.
Do we have to? Can't we talk about the fucking film?
Yes, we can, but I'm sure some people will want to know a little bit more about.
I'm sick. I'm blue in the face talking about myself, Alex.
Okay, fine. We'll
They
talk.
already know. If they're here, they're peripherally aware, aren't they?
Fair enough.
I'm from this barbaric tribe just west of England called the Republic of Ireland, where we do sacrificial animal as a matter of course every Sunday.
Nice. Well, that's nice. But you lived in LA.
Nice. What?
You lived in LA for a little bit, didn't you? How was
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I lived in LA in 2014 and 15, but only for about 10 months.
Mhm.
I went over because I was head over heels in love with an LA resident, and
Mhm.
I managed to get a job with a movie called Geostorm, which was shooting in Louisiana. So I went, yeah, you know what, feck it, I'll just do that job, move to LA, do the whole business all in one fell swoop. So I moved over there for about 10 months and then moved back like my arse was on fire, frankly.
Back to London directly, or back
Yeah,
to...
back to London directly. I moved back to do a play. Came back here to do a trilogy of plays, Shakespeare, don't you know?
War of the
So
Roses? Yeah.
the LA was very much the training ground for Shakespeare.
Yes.
It was actually, on the lead up to preparing for the Wars of the Roses trilogy, I would frequently gather as many Americans and anyone else who was around to read the plays, just old, without any preparation, and they were slow moving, stilted affairs to say the least.
But
Good fun all the same. What?
did they get there in the end? Did they perform well at the end?
No,
No.
no. Or the beginning or the middle, but hey, it was good crack. We were sitting on a rooftop, having a laugh, having a beer.
There was a film you did, didn't you? Like a shorter, like a concept piece, walking around LA doing like some Shakespeare.
yeah.
And you showed me that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, we shot that over like one night. It was a short film which ended up being called Dickie, which I think is on YouTube. Those of you who are curious, because we eventually edited it ages after we filmed it, back here in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
and then got it transmit on Channel 4, which was pretty cool. What's their thing called? Undiscovered Acts or
Yeah, something like that.
yeah, they have a short film program, which is brilliant because
Cool. It was kind of like wandering around the streets. Wasn't it?
Playing Richard III.
Yeah.
That was a sort of a mode of preparation as well for the plays.
Yeah.
Imagined Richard as a kind of a down on his luck, kind of Iggy Pop style drug addict in downtown Los Angeles, which isn't hard to imagine because unfortunately downtown Los Angeles is very highly populated with homeless drug addicts.
Yeah.
So we went down there and shot all night the opening monologue of Richard III, which kind of was like babbling, It was sort of this kind of babbling into my collar kind of style. But it was brilliant. We shot loads of different interesting little places and got some cool stuff. It's only about 4 minutes long. You can spare 4 minutes. I mean, you're sparing... What are you sparing to sit and listen to us ramble and talk bollocks like almost an hour?
Exactly. Which kind of leads me on to the bigger picture and can you tell me why you wanted to do this? Like, what's the story behind the bigger picture, effectively?
Well, I was in the Curzon Cinema in Shaftesbury Avenue, and I bumped into Greer. I hadn't seen Greer in years, and we'd made a film together called Cherry Bomb, which was the maiden voyage of Greer's acting career.
It was the first and last.
It was a cherry explosion for
Oh wow!
Greer's acting career. And then we were chatting for a while, and he goes, you wouldn't be interested in reading the script I've written. And I was like, oh, here we go. And as I remember, Sam Claflin was going to do the role, and then he pulled out for availability reasons. And I'd read it and was like, this is brilliant, man. This is really, really good. Because I don't know if you've been, or those of you who are watching, I don't know if you've been in relationship arguments that take you down a kind of a language rabbit hole. That it's a bit like Dungeons and Dragons. There's a show called Critical Role where they record the language that's going on in a Dungeons and Dragons, like deep in a Dungeons and Dragons game, which is completely specific to that event, And the language in the script was completely specific to this relationship argument. But there was a way into it at the same time. It wasn't wildly confusing for an audience member or reader. So it was special because it's hard to capture that lightning. And it was funny because Greer was like, yeah, I had an argument with someone who was kind of a very meaningful person in my life, and And then, like, as the argument ended, he kind of furiously ran to the computer to kind of get it down, knowing that there was value in it. And I remember going, yeah, because when I had many arguments with my LA resident, I remember thinking, God, there is something so specific and valuable in the language in this, and it conveys such intimacy, and that's what was caught in the script of the bigger picture.
Either that or the fact that I ran to a laptop and wrote it down makes me a sociopath.
Yeah, it's like creative sociopath. Yeah, so it started in his brain.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, you know, obviously I've seen the film, and those of you who are watching it later on, I hope you see, like, what I find about it is it's so raw, right? It's such a raw script, raw emotions, like real feelings being like exposed in just a single take, right? What was kind of,
in a single take, yeah.
And what was your initial reaction? What was your initial feeling to shooting it in one take? It's almost like a play, I guess, or just an extract of a play. But how was it when you guys were shooting it?
Well, that sort of that makes it more like a play. It's more beneficial, I would say, for the actors, because you are sort of, you kind of, once the kind of blocking, the rehearsal is all mastered, and there's some lovely photography blocking in it. Do you remember that as well? Yeah. There was the simulation of the passing lights of cars through the window and stuff, you know, to give it that kind of sense of the atmosphere outside. Really beautifully done. And then it's a joy. It's a joy. It's like doing a play, which is if you are an actor who has an interest in acting, and not all of them do, that's what you yearn for. It's the stilted and atomized nature of television, which can kind of frankly shrink your creative box a little, you know. So it's nice when you can just recreate the real conditions.
Yeah, it was interesting saying about the kind of the world outside moving, because something Merlin, who co-directed the movie, and I talked about a lot, was that, you know, it's one take, and it's this like moment of stillness in this room between these two people, but outside the world, you know, it's still on the move, and it sort of feels like this whirlwind that you're caught in of colors and lights and traffic lights. You know, everything's moving outside, whereas these two are stuck in this moment, you know, stuck in this one moment in time. I think that was one of the reasons for doing it as one take.
Lovely. Yeah, it's really beautifully done. How many takes did we do, Greer? We did like 7 or 8.
Well, we could only afford 8 reels of film, so we had 8 goes, and I think we got the perfect one in number 7. I think number 7 did one more. The problem was, because we were trying to capture it was 9 pages of dialogue or something like that, and the film reel, because we shot it in 35mm, and the film reel only lasts, you know, 8 minutes something. So we kept running over, and we kept running over, and Merlin and I were watching the pile of film stock kind of depleting in the corner, trying not to let Rob see it going down.
And also, like, while a take is happening, you're watching the second cam. Please get to the end of the scene.
So not only was it like high stakes, just emotionally within the scene for you and Rosie, obviously, it's enormous stakes for everyone involved production-wise as well, right?
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely, you know, it was an ambitious kind of feat to try and attempt and do it like that. But, you know, I think it was worth it in the end.
Absolutely.
I think it really made it.
Yeah, and it gives that lovely grain, that lovely film texture.
Yeah, it gives it a really kind of, like, for me, look at, you know, at that film, it's a nostalgic, you know, quest. Like, it's a very kind of like nostalgic and something that's like helped me grow. I think that movie, you know, like putting it out there.
Absolutely.
And the film gives it that like nice grainy sort of nostalgic, you know, texture. And it was Merlin actually took credit for it. It was, you know, he was the one who was really gunning to do it on the film, and it was definitely worth it.
Nice.
Yeah. You guys got it in one day. Did you rehearse beforehand?
Yeah, we did one rehearsal.
We did
rehearsals, and then we chatted about it a lot, you know, about the script and the kind of the intentions behind it all, and the real situation itself, and you know, situations that Rob and Rosie had been in, which there's a lot of nattering. Which I think helped a lot.
Well, what kind of argument is this, you know? Where are we pitching it? Is
Yeah.
it like is it a sort of a, or is it like a possibly we're at a fork in the road style argument?
Mm-hmm.
You know, where does this argument sit in the relationship?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all got on the same page in terms of that. Yeah, in the morning.
And I think the thing that we talked about when we were doing it was the idea that like it's a moment that sort of can go either way, but kind of changes your life irreversibly depending on which way it sort of goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm just quite curious. Someone just put up, let's go muddin, Rob. Muddin, Muddin.
You don't want to know.
I mean,
Is that mud wrestling? Because if it is, I'm in.
whoever said in money, let's get an explanation because
Clarify the mudding activity.
yes.
Or sir. I hope it's Adam. This art piece, sorry, also peripherally, this art piece is by a guy called Senor X. Check out his Instagram. It's SR_X, I think.
Okay.
And he's amazeballs. He does these huge murals all over the world.
He did this one bespoke, did he?
Yeah, all I gave him was the dimensions of the wall, and then he just did a big old piece for it. So that's pretty cool. Oh, dirt angels, like snow angels. I think that's what it is. Yeah, I'm up for that too. Why not?
Muddin sounds very American, apparently, according to some people. So let's see if someone comes back with an explanation. But in terms of, you obviously rehearsed for like a day or whatever. Did you approach the role any differently to any effectively?
Did I approach the role differently? Well, like the fact that it was, I suppose it's like anything. The fact that we just had the day, you kind of have to, you just have to kind of have faith really that you're going to go there and you're going to maybe muddle it and get it wrong a few times, and then you can always tell us, I suppose, a more experienced actor when they're not trying to maybe do it in the first take. That's the truth. And that's not to say you shouldn't try and do it in the first take, but there's so many different moving parts when you're filming something that have to go right, that the likelihood is that, it is like a sort of almost like there is a room for failure, for practice before you. So really it's just know the script, and then sort of see what kind of weird chemistry happens on the day, really.
I think what was nice about it was the fact that it was one take. There wasn't loads of pauses and new setups. You know, it kind of set everything up at the start of the day, and there was a lot of moving parts, but you could just kind of roll from do one take, look at it, do another, and you knew you were kind of capturing the whole movie.
Yeah, that's it. And you're doing the whole movie. Yeah, in one big scoop of a ladle.
Yeah, and Greer. So obviously you and Merlin directed this, and this was the first time. Was this the first project you guys were doing together? Or?
This was the second movie that we directed together, and the first one was about 3 weeks before, so it was a bit of a mad endeavor.
Was that a?
That was a short. That was like a 25-minute short done in Bangor, where I'm from, in Northern Ireland.
Nice.
Spitball.
Yeah.
And
incredibly prolific since you started. You started off as Blue Shadows.
Yeah, that's right.
You've morphed into Paradox House.
Indeed.
With the eye candy, Alex Chang, and a few other people.
Look, I did myself up for you. I'm not going to lie.
And the 2,000 folks who are watching.
Yeah, exactly, which is great. But yeah, I mean, like
from Iraq, we love you too.
Rosie, Greer, like what was it like directing Rosie and Rob together? On the day of shooting, like were there other obstacles, or were there other things to consider apart from the limited reels that you had left?
Yeah, I mean that was the main thing, I think, because we had done a bit of a rehearsal and we just talked about it so much, and Rob and Rosie, both experienced actors, and they got it. They knew what we were going in for. We knew what we were kind of going in to do, and the second timer, as Rob says, ticking down was a bit of an adrenaline pumper, but we knew we'd get there. And I think one of the beauty about doing the one shot, the hard work you do before, the prepping and the planning and how are you going to make this work, how are you going to do it in one shot, limited space, etc. But that's all in the prep, and then when you get there on the day, it was pretty It was pretty smooth.
Yeah.
Pretty smooth running.
Yeah, that's what you want. You want to do. That's what Alfred Hitchcock used to say. If you make the movie and then you shoot it,
Mm.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
doing things right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I kind of want to talk about, you know, producing as well, Rob, because obviously
Oh,
you produce this as well, and I know that there are other projects coming up that you're producing. Like, you
Yeah,
know, what
with views.
what are the kind of stories that you want to do as a producer? What are stories that you kind of want to tell?
Oh, I don't know. I'm wary of making lists like that because
Yeah.
I think it can kind of betray a future version of you. You know, I'm quite sort of. I'd like to think I'm quite spontaneous creatively. You know, and I think it has a lot to do with the creativity when the source of it is spontaneity. But if you start trying to build futures, imaginary futures, which all futures are,
Yeah.
they get heavier and heavier the longer they're there, you know.
Mm.
And I think life is kind of always just a now, you know, like this moment, and you never know what's going to happen in the next moment.
You nearly got me.
I suppose if you live life fairly openly, spiritually, whatever you want to say, you may not want to make that same story next year, you know. And I know that personally, I think I've changed a lot. Just in my existence, I've changed a fair whack, certainly in the last kind of 5 years, and I also know that it's profoundly difficult to get anything made, you know. And that's not any reason not to do it, but to kind of go at life in the way of, oh, what stories do I want to tell? I don't know. I think it has to be. I think you have to just refer back to yourself, and not. Yeah.
You touched on a nice subject there because you know we spoke last week about meditation and spiritual awareness and etc. I mean, how much of that has kind of made a difference creatively in your life, your career?
I don't know if I could put a number on it, Alex.
Yeah.
You know, possibly infinitely, you know. Yesterday, I had the day before, I had the great honor and joy of speaking to someone who is a great authority on these things in my book, called Deepak Chopra, who is a extraordinarily powerful being and
a force of nature.
Yeah, and incredibly clever, and has dedicated his life to kind of, I think, sort of, what would you say, sort of expanding the consciousness of humanity. You know what I mean? And he's someone who thinks that we all sit, sort of matter, which includes us. We're kind of everything, and everything is us. The kind of matter layer exists on a field of infinite potential, eternal potential, which we can all access. And I do it through meditation. Lots of people do it through other means, jogging, dogging, whatever's your
Mudding, apparently. So
what?
Mudding as well, apparently.
Mudding, absolutely. Mudding's definitely one.
But
yeah, you know, so I think all creative pursuit is to be in communion with that thing and whatever that feeling is. And so that's how it's helped me creatively. Meditation has helped me. So sometimes I can't get through 20 minutes of meditation because I've got so many ideas going through my head, things that I feel are worth writing down, you know. And you go, you know, so you have to ask yourself, is this a meditation for creativity, or is this a meditation to just completely be at peace with nothing?
yeah.
And then expand the nothing, because you know there is nothing between your thoughts, between your perceptions, between your dreams, your waking, your everything. There is this nothing, you know, that you can go back and you can expand. And then out of that nothing comes loads of creative stuff and ideas.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's interesting you say that, because before I started meditating, for example, and I was saying this to you before, it's like I had a very, very busy mind. You know, is that
Yeah, like everyone these days,
Yeah.
everyone in the world has, I think, you know.
Yeah, and so yeah, like meditation is great, and I would encourage it, and of course you would encourage it to everybody out there who's listening as well.
Someone said there, Alex, the question came through, how do you start meditating? Well, you don't. You just start meditating shit.
Yeah.
I did it shit for 6 months before I felt any benefit from it. But not like all the time. I might have done it once a week, 1 week, and no times a week, another week, and then maybe 3 times a week, another week.
Yeah.
Don't, you know, I would say to people, don't live your life through regimes and lists and things, because they are essentially burdens, you know. They're like rocks on your back. I mean, yeah, fair enough, we all have to be someplace at a certain time, but you know, meditation is not about that. It's not kind of about a sort of a rigorous training regime. It's just something that kind of I anyway, I'm only speaking from my own experience, naturally gravitated back towards. And then it started to do something pretty magical, you know, when I had eventually built that bridge between me and infinity. So it really started to do something that's incredibly beneficial to all matters of life on this realm, you know, on this plane.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like, Greer, obviously, you're such a machine of a writer, and I know that firsthand.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
extremely prolific, this fella.
he's a machine. I've never, anyways. But do you have anything that you do that clears your mind, etc., to help you get in the zone?
I mean, I actually write best in the morning, whenever I can pull myself out of bed early enough, and I know that the phone isn't going to ring and there's not going to be any emails through for a couple of hours, and I guess like that in a way is like a kind of a time of bliss, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's difficult to get up sometimes, that's for sure, and that's when writing doesn't get done. But if you actually get up, there's like a period of time there that if you can access it and jump into it, you know you're going to be completely undisturbed. And you can get more done in that than you can, you know, sitting for 10 hours while you're getting emails and texts and phone calls and you know, there's no distractions. And yeah, that's what I think's best.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? Because life is so fucking busy. Like,
yeah, it is, and it directly translates into your head. You know, yeah. Your head maintains the busyness of the life that you lead externally. So calming those thoughts down and essentially gaining dominion over your own house is a great way of calming your life down. And
I read something interesting the other day, which was it was just a quote, and it was like, you know, it's actually it shows a lot of bravery to be happy, and in order to be happy you have to be, you know, content, right? And how do you find contentness, or whatever it is?
I suppose maybe knowing that you'll be okay whatever happens.
Yeah.
And that's what meditation, I suppose, is that you're not attached to anything, any thoughts, any perceptions. Ideally, you are just and you're fine, you know. And it builds a sense of security and a sense of love from the kind of fundamental foundation level.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's my thoughts on meditation, which I'm always harping on about. I think I bored my friends half to death talking about meditation.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Well,
I was supposed to be talking about the bigger picture.
But how was it working alongside Rosie as well?
Yeah, lovely.
Did you guys know each other before? Or?
No, didn't know her. Hadn't met before.
Yeah, it was just really fortuitous with the casting.
Yeah,
it was pretty close, I think, to the shoot. It was like a couple of weeks out, or something like that. Whenever we bumped into each other, and then it came together really nicely.
Her Irish accent was pretty stellar. Her Irish accent was good, because that's something, as we've all seen, has been butchered in the past.
Yeah.
And it's harder for English people, I think, to do an Irish accent, because a lot of the sounds are very different.
Yeah.
you know. But she passed it off brilliantly, and yeah, you know. And then we just kind of played acting tennis as best as we could, you know.
Mm-hmm. And did the story of the bigger picture, you know, obviously we know it's Greer's sort of very intimate personal account. Did it hit home for you, Rob, when were there like, as an actor, sometimes, you know, if you have 8 takes, which you guys did, were there certain came out that really felt it hit the lightning, I guess, as you say?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you know, you hopefully aren't thinking at all. You're just sort of, you're playing tennis. You know, you're waiting for the dramatic ball to come back, and you know, that's a good place to affix yourself. And as long as you can stay in there, then the lightning is happening. You know.
Yeah.
It said a lot about me, I think, as well, because at the time I would like argue with my ex and get all in a flap and get all upset and emotional, and wasn't necessarily able to control those feelings. When those feelings are very primitive, you know, and they can take things over, and they can make everything about winning, and you know, they're really unhelpful especially when you're in an argument. So
as soon as it becomes about point scoring,
yeah,
you're not in a good place.
Yeah, it's lost. All is lost. So, so it was nice, because it's nice to look back at it, because I suppose I've noticed a bit of progression since that time. You know, look back at myself fondly and be like, you were an impulsive, emotional little fucker. You probably still are, but you're a little bit better at controlling it these days.
Well, if you guys were to make the film again, just start over from scratch right now, like, how would that be different for either of you?
I think that's a difficult question. Yeah. I think it's like a film like this that isn't like, it's not driven by a plot. You know, it's driven by like the mechanics of when are we going to get to the next sort of, you know, twist in the plot or whatever. It was something that I think was a product of that time, probably for both of us. And I think, you know, for me, as we said, it was something that was transcribed from a real event, which meant it was really easy to write and really hard to show people afterwards.
Which is how it kind of should be. Almost, It's coming from the right place.
So I think it would be kind of very different, because it's really a product of who we both were then. You know, a few years ago.
Yeah, would it be? I don't know. I mean, would it be as intense? Would it be as furious? Would it be?
I think we were probably both closer to those characters.
Yeah.
As people then, we're a bit younger, and you know.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's it's an impossible question to ask, but an interesting one to think about. Though.
Yeah. I only thought of it earlier today because you know, when was it shot? I think 5 years ago. Five.
I think so.
5 years,
4 or 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, like, what? Okay, so we're re-releasing it tonight in about 29 minutes on YouTube. What do you hope people will get out of this film?
No, I don't hope really. I suppose. I hope they're moved. You know, I think there's something very universal in it. I think people of a certain age will identify with it.
I think from people who've seen the film at festivals and so on, the one kind of universal thing that people have always said is that, you know, I've been there. You know, I've been in that situation, give or take a few factors or whatever. But God, you know, I remember that, and people watch it and they kind of go like, I feel like calling my ex-girlfriend or whatever, which I don't probably advise. But it does have that kind of, you know, I think people who are of a certain age will have experienced something similar to this. You know, with another human being. And
those arguments tend to be very unconscious, aren't they? In terms of, you could kind of barely remember them after they've happened.
It kind of falls out, doesn't it? These words, these things just attack, I guess.
and then eat you after it's all said and done, and it goes back to the plateau, and your adrenaline drops, and you go, did I say that, or who said that?
You take back agency over yourself.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of like being possessed sometimes in those moments, you know, especially when they get to that kind of extreme, you know, level. You're not kind of yourself. You're not seeing clearly. If you could both maybe just go, right, let's regroup in 10 minutes. And pick up where we left off. It would be a completely different argument.
I used to go out with someone who that was the last thing you could do. You know, in the middle of an argument, I'd go, I'm going to go for a walk. And I'll be back in half hour. Don't you dare go for a walk! Don't you dare fucking! And it was the worst thing possible to sort of leave, but it is highly beneficial, I think, to just get out of the maelstrom of it. But very, very hard. Very, very difficult. Because you care, you know.
Well, that's what I was
you love this other person.
You're invested in so many different levels.
Yeah.
You know.
It's not like your traditional kind of red mist where you want to, like, you know, go for someone, like, you know, physically or anything. You do. There's love and anger and all wrapped in one singular.
Yeah, it's a big melting pot. You know, and that's why it's become so difficult to see clearly and to navigate through.
Yeah.
And you know, not to harp back to meditation, but only how it pertains to love. And I think love is a powerful, powerful thing. It's like a loaded weapon, and you have to know yourself to know how to wield it. And when you're young,
that's the problem.
You've got all of this powerful love flowing through the both of you.
Yeah.
You don't have the slightest idea how to wield it, how to make it work for you.
Yeah.
That's the thing I wish I had sometimes, you know.
But I think it's also the thing that you have to not have to then get, if you know what I mean. Like you have to kind of to not have it and go through this kind of you know, relationship and this kind of argument and this kind of thing to actually gain that. Because otherwise you have no context for it. You're just kind of, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You don't have any, and you don't know have any. You don't realize how powerful it is. Just how careful you have to be with it.
Yeah, I mean, we got a comment just now, which was like, you know, it's sometimes hard to focus on the reality of the situation when these things happen, right? Like, it becomes haze, it becomes delirium.
Do you know they say they delay divorce proceedings? You know, I think in this country.
Right? That's interesting.
Yeah, because they know that if you go, screw you, I want to sue you for divorce, that's it. And then the next like 3 days later, you're down at the courthouse or you're with your lawyers. The whole legal system has basically catered for that now.
Yeah, that's smart.
Put a delay on the proceedings of a divorce. Yeah. I think is a very, very smart thing, because you know,
you need a judge to come in the middle of the argument and go, all right, we're going to just delay this for 20 minutes.
Yeah. And then hit you with his gavel. Get away, get back over there. But it can be very self-destructive, love. Very self-destructive. And I think my character in the big picture, you know, he's a young man, and he doesn't necessarily know what's fully good for him in terms of love yet. So and basically, it's another way of saying he's too preoccupied with wanting to fuck everything that moves, and love is an obstacle to that.
Some of the stuff was made up in it.
Yeah, sure it was.
I was just waiting for Greer to pipe in.
You know, and it's in fact, you know, when you're young, you do think, you know, I want to go out there and I want to meet people, I want to live my life, you know, and. I don't know if that's true anymore. You know, I think having a long time in the bank with somebody is, in terms of being bonded, you know, through love, through adversity, fights, all that other stuff, is profoundly valuable. Profoundly valuable. More valuable than, I don't know, more or less. I don't know. I'm not in the game of more or less, but I wish I had that sometimes. I really do. But, you know, the compulsion in the modern world where sexual restriction doesn't really exist. You can go out and meet people every night of the week if you want. It sort of clouds the value of love a bit.
Mm.
Clouds what you are, which is in fact love. You are love, you know, and then you're temporarily other things. But yeah, so the character in the bigger picture, he's this. I think he sees the love as the obstacle and not the other way around. You know.
Yeah, but it's so inherently in his life at the moment, at this moment in time that we're capturing, and we see that pain or sort of like, you know, I don't know if pain is the right word. That kind of.
I think there's just like a lot of fears, you know, at that time. There's a fear of like letting go, even if you're at the point which, you know, arguably in this film they are, where they probably should just kind of, you know, go their separate ways, having like learned and done everything that they've gone through there. But there's fears of the unknown. There's fears of being alone. You know, there's fears of letting go, of kind of loneliness. You know, and you cling on, and then things can get frayed, and everything becomes messy. You know, and I think especially when you are that age and you're going through that, those fears can be very, very kind of consuming.
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, we're going to be releasing it in literally 20 minutes on YouTube, so tune in for that. I just kind of want to, if it's all right with you guys, open the floor up to some questions.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, bandana banana. That's quite good.
Now is the time to ask your questions to Robin Greer.
The fear of the future is my biggest one. The future is imaginary. The future doesn't exist, only inside of our heads. And we all invest into this idea of the future. But to be honest, it's a concept, just in the same way that, you know, ambivalence is a concept. The future doesn't exist. There's no point being hung up about it, because, you know, just essentially take care of yourself in the right now, and the future is fine. Because, you know, can you bark, please?
Greer.
I'll let him take that one.
What is this movie about? You know, we got to know what, you know, a question there. I mean,
it's about two people who are in love, and they have a pretty ground-shaking argument, you know, at the fork in the road of their relationship.
Yeah, a moment that'll kind of change their lives irreversibly going forward. It just captures that one moment.
Yeah.
Cool. More questions. Come on, guys, more questions.
What makes you more excited about this project? That's not a very good question. No offense.
So, okay. Technically, the past is also a concept and doesn't exist. Question.
Yes, that's unfortunately true. Emily Dickinson has a great line on that, which I'm now going to paraphrase terribly. But it's something like, you know, what is the past but a dream? It's sort of a, you know, I suppose it has some more substance than the future, because we've all gone through it, you know, and there are things we can agree on. And whereas the future is illusory because it hasn't come around yet, but it is coming. What are your thoughts on love, Robert? Yeah, but I've just been spouting on about you for the last half hour. What's the movie called? It's called The Bigger Picture. Check out YouTube, The Bigger Picture, in about 17 minutes. And it's good. We're going to
got a question from Kerry
YouTube premiere.
B. Why was it important for you guys to tell this story?
I think because you had a grain of inspiration and reality in your stomach, and I suppose to capture truth in a net is always where it's just for its own sake.
Yeah,
you know.
And I think just going back to the meditation thing, for me, this movie was like a form of meditation. You know, it was a form of like healing and being able to look back at that time and take the lessons from it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that was important, and I think that other people will hopefully be able to get, you know, a similar thing from it.
Yeah. Another question from L0 Best. What has been your favorite memories of your career so far?
Oh,
Yeah.
I've been around for ages. Yeah, Cherry Bomb. Yeah, Cherry Bomb was up there though. Definitely.
It was good crack.
We made this film in Belfast. Me, Greer, Rupert Grint, James Nesbitt, Kimberly Nixon. Lovely group of people. It was sort of, you know, low enough budget, but not that low. And we just had an absolute ball with lovely Lisa and Glenn, who were the directors.
Yeah, it was great crack. It was a good summer.
Yeah, it was decadent. It was party in Belfast. And it was it was lovely and very emotional stuff too. Really kind of for me, me and Rupert and Kim, we did a lot of very intense emotional kind of, again, this stuff, really, love, and how it completely throws a massive curveball into your life when you're young. God, I can't.
We have another question from X_Amelia_X. What would you say to a 5-year-old version of you?
A 5-year-old version?
Yeah.
What would I? What
advice would you give that young lad Rob or young lad Greer? I don't know if I would give him any advice. I don't think 5-year-olds are in the kind of advice-taking mood. I think they just want to play, don't they?
Follow the crayon.
It's hard because, like, I wonder if that is truly how people learn, you know, by people going, do this, don't do this. And maybe it is to some degree, but yeah, I don't know if I would want to pervert the course of my own development. I suppose, yeah, I'd say be wary. Don't be running around like a penis with a backpack, because although it is very fun, it can be spiritually unfulfilling. Why not? Let's say that.
Sound advice.
But chat for you guys from Emily207. Can you guys say something in Spanish? Greetings from Mexico.
Oh, no entiendo, pero te amo.
No me monte, voy de vacaciones with mi familia.
Wow, that was great.
Thank you. That's my GCSE oral exam first line.
What does that even mean?
Normally I go on holiday with my family.
Normalmente.
Voy de vacaciones.
Okay, great question here for you guys. So from S.O. Well, Sophie, if you could time travel, what era would you travel to?
You're only just back from the 60s?
Yeah. Where would I go? I'd go to ancient Egypt, maybe.
Why?
Because I was reading this book called The Sirius Effect. Sirius Effect? Quite a few years ago. And the Egyptians believed that our proximity to a gigantic star called Sirius A and a little one next to it called Sirius B, how close our sun rotates around Sirius, right? Okay, it gets nearer and further to it, and we rotate around it. And the Egyptians believed that the closer we got to Sirius was the time that caused a great consciousness shift, a great lurch forward, you know, in terms of thought, in terms of just awareness, everything. And I'd like to go back and investigate, see if that was true, because I think when the Egyptians were around, they realized that they were the furthest from Sirius A that they could possibly be. So they built the pyramids to essentially be a consciousness amplifier, right?
Nice.
So that because the Nile used to flood where the Great Pyramids are all the time, and when they flood at the base and they have an energy point at the bottom, at the top, they basically become a Tesla tower. Nikola Tesla invented a tower which is essentially an energy absorption point at the very top and energy running at the bottom, so water, and that's enough to create energy. And so there's a belief that the pyramids are essentially Tesla towers. And I'd just like to see what everyone's rattling on about. But then, can I speak ancient Egyptian? Yeah, of course I can. Let's say I can. So yeah, I'm going back to ancient Egypt.
Nice. What about you, Greer?
If I could time travel,
Yeah.
I'd probably go to Saturday and grab the lottery numbers.
Nice. Nice.
See? He's
Uh,
all money, this guy.
I've got another question. Where has been the best place, your favorite place to film? And that was from Steph Jensen 13.
I'll be honest, Steph Jensen. I don't have a kind of a ranking system instinct.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have favorites of things. I never have. I've never been able to answer them questions honestly. But I would say, you know, honestly, Cherry Bomb in Belfast was incredibly fun time. Insanely fun. I was like 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's still loads of mates from that shoot, you
Yeah.
know, still today, 10,
Yeah.
12 years on.
Which is, you know, it's rare to have that many from one job. I must say India was a big one for me. I shot and produced something in Goa, southern Goa, which was fucking beautiful. And we were on the beaches of the Indian Ocean, and you'd watch the sunset about 6:30, 7 o'clock every evening over the water.
Mm.
And it was just fucking insane. A couple of gin and tonics. Oh!
Surely not better than Belfast.
Oh, no.
Not
We're
bad.
in Belfast. You watch the sun
Slightly
set.
different kind of fun.
Yeah.
From Benny Believe, if you could eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would you choose?
If you could eat one thing. Sushi.
Sushi, nice.
Yeah, sushi. Happily. Sushi. But then what does sushi include?
Is it
Maki? Sashimi? I mean, I have to insist that it includes all of the non-cooked things on the menu. Let's go with that.
Probably go for Yorkshire puddings.
Yorkshire puddings. He'd be dead within a month.
coronary heart failure within a few years? Right?
But they're so good.
They're very nice. Would you have any gravy on it, or are you just having it raw?
If I was allowed, yeah.
Yeah.
So
We can't deny you some gravy if you're going to choose the Yorkshire pudding.
yeah. Is there any person that you'd love to play in a biopic?
Maybe Nick Drake, but I can't play the guitar.
You can.
Oh, my friend plays Nick Drake songs, and they're quite complex. They're hard, and he only demonstrated this to me fairly recently. My friend Tim Digby Bell from Cubicolor, and it's just so incredibly beautiful to hear live renditions of Nick Drake. Alan Watts would be a good one. Alan Watts would be good. So it follows that consciousness is eternal. You see? Cool to play Alan Watts, who was a spiritualist from the 60s and 70s. Englishman, incredible brain, huge brained individual. Kind of became a bit of a guru in the 60s and 70s and on. And still, you know, after you've watched The Bigger Picture on YouTube Premiere, go check out some Alan Watts videos. He's very clever. And he's got a lovely voice. Lovely velvety English public school voice.
Another question we have is what has been the craziest dreams that you guys have ever had?
Ooh.
We were talking about this the other day.
Yeah, we were talking about dreams the other day. Well, last night I had one where Boris Johnson was in it, right?
No.
And he was sort of pleading sickness and insanity. He was like, I can't really do the leadership thing anymore. Sorry. But I was there and I was shouting stuff at him. And then naturally. And then I followed him. I think I followed him to see, was he like going off to, I don't know, sit in a cottage with a blanket over his legs for the rest of his days. And he went off and jumped in a sports car and then went and met some Swedish lady. And then realised he was, didn't make no sense. Do you know what I mean? It made perfect sense at the time. Made perfect sense. Yeah.
We were talking about sleep paralysis the other day. I get from time to time really bad sleep paralysis. I'm sure some people listening get that as well, but it's bloody terrifying. You feel like there's somebody else in the room. You can't move. You're stuck there. horrible.
And breathing.
Yeah,
You
I feel like there's someone breathing on the back of your neck. It's
Yeah. Well, it's about time to kind of wrap this up, I think.
wrap it up.
What's next? We've got some exciting plans, haven't we, Rob?
You what?
We've got plans, haven't we, Rob, with our next projects? So
We certainly do. We certainly do.
Don't think we can say too much, but we've got a nice collaboration. A great script, great director,
Great
really
cast.
nice cast coming
Really
together.
cool cast coming
Going to be
together.
shooting once the COVID
Yeah,
effects off.
next year.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
So for those of you watching who are Rob fans, now Greer fans, just stay tuned on Paradox House. We'll be announcing some more stuff very, very soon on Rob producing alongside us as well. So that's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
And so in 7 minutes, The Bigger Picture, directed by Merlin Merton himself and Greer Ellison, starring Robert Sheehan and Rosie Day, will be live on our YouTube. So if you don't know where to go, the link is on the bio of the Paradox House Instagram. And thanks so much, Rob and Greer, for your time.
No problem.
Oh, thanks,
You're
Alex.
welcome.
Cheers, man.
Well,
We'll get you an art piece for that big slab of wall behind your head.
I know, it's just, oh gosh, I need to get your guy round to do something.
Yeah, exactly. Or we'll get you a nice movie poster.
Well, yeah.
Folks, quick, request some movie posters to put on Alex Chang's wall.
Yes. Anyone movie poster ideas would be great.
Yeah. I'm seeing something from the 70s, maybe a bit sexy, maybe Logan's Run.
Oh gosh, nice. No.
Or Shaft. Or Dolomite.
Very cool.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well,
Jojo Rabbit. Yeah, let's get Jojo Rabbit poster.
Jojo Rabbit.
I might do that now. And I sent, actually, speaking of,
It's excellent.
I sent him a letter through his agent, Taika Waititi, like last week. I mean, not that I really expected to come to anything, but I've just been binging the TV version of What We Do in the Shadows, which is fucking hilariously funny. Particular shout out to Matt Berry and Kay Van Novak, who I'm huge fans of. But I just goes here, if you need a silly vampire or silly hunchback or the cursed end of or the back end of a cursed horse, I'll do anything.
He means it.
Yeah.
30 seconds left, so let's say our goodbyes and we'll
All
catch you guys in.
Adios, amigos.
And now the end is near, and
With-
so I face the final curtain. Aliens, yes, I do believe in aliens. Da, 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 da,
It's just
da, da, da.
Harry.
Of this I'm certain. Yeah. I can't.
All right.
I don't know the lyrics.
And on
Bye,
that,
everyone. Thanks
Bye.
for tuning in.
Check out the movie.